Welcome to the Building Web 3 podcast. I have an absolute treat of a guest. We've got Jack. He is the co-founder of Lunar Strategy, and it's going to be pretty exciting because he's going to be breaking down all the go-to-market strategies. But before we get too deep into all of that kind of stuff, everything going on in AI, on the timeline, tell us a little bit about how you started Lunar.
Yeah, it's actually it's a long story. We started way well. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And yeah, we started 2019, and I first got into Bitcoin 2017, and I started to do my first investments back then together with my brother, and I know my two brothers actually bought a mining rig back then as well. So we used to do some Bitcoin mining in our childhood home. And then 2019, we kicked off and started with Lunar. I come from a more traditional marketing background. So I used to work for e-com brands like Victoria's Secret and stuff like that at another agency. And then I moved here to Portugal, where we have our main office now. And Tim was already living here. We started to work on a few projects together. And then we just got into this crypto rabbit hole a little bit. And we started to realize like, okay, this is like a completely new space. Because when you look at marketing for traditional companies versus crypto marketing, it was very different. And yeah, there was so much demand for marketing, and we just started to get into the trenches of working with different creators and getting attention in the crypto space and working with different PR and stuff like that. And then yeah, over the last 6 years, we've been building up Lunar to we're now about 30 people. We have half team based here in Lisbon, Portugal, and yeah, we come in and support with basically GTM's advisory and also the execution. Because in crypto and in marketing, like over the last, what is it, six years or something like this, we have seen what works, what doesn't work. And especially when we are in the driving seat of a GTM, you start to realize like, if you don't have stuff under control and stuff properly planned out, it's going to be hectic, it's going to be stressful, and it's going to be chaos in the whole marketing and like GTM department. So yeah, we've been doing this for quite some time, and yeah, I guess that's a short of how we got going.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk because you come from ecom. I know a lot of people in the marketing space. Like when we interviewed Emily from Hype, or I guess formerly from Hype, she came from ecom as well. I feel like everyone comes in.
Yeah,
So, what are the big differences between coming from like an ecom brand for the listeners that are into marketing? Is paid ads are everything, Klaviyo flows are everything. But then when you get into this
yeah,
crypto space, it's quite a bit different. So, talk to us a little bit about the differences that exist between like traditional internet money
yeah,
marketing versus crypto
yeah.
marketing itself, because it's quite different.
Yeah, it is very different, and I think like in normal the normal world, it's very easy to track direct attribution. It's very easy to track like with different tracking links and doing all of this. Because I used to work in also with influencers in the normal e-com world, and we used to spend like millions on influencers, but you could also see a very direct ROI in terms of purchases being made via these ones. And I think like whenever I first got into crypto, I started to see how some of these marketing teams were operating. They were more operating on vibes. It was like, just okay, this feels good, this sounds good, let's do it. And like it doesn't really it doesn't really work like that. And we started to dig into a lot of the data and stuff like that, because Tim, he also has a traditional marketing background for with Google Ads. So we came with this like more traditional marketing mindset, and when you come into crypto, it's just a big jungle of trying to dissect what is actually real and what is actually botted, and what is just a scam. And it was a lot like that whenever we got into it first. So I would say like the biggest difference is that working in retail, the trust is already much higher. But in crypto, you gotta build the trust from scratch and the confidence, because it's essentially people investing their money into something that they believe is gonna yield the ROI to them in the future, right? This is what you're selling. So I think the biggest difference was just to build trust and also dig into the different statistics and analytics and smart metrics, which is where Cookie and Kaito and such came into play. And yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference. It's like the trust factor is so much lower, and then also the different marketing channels. The main marketing channel that you use is X in crypto, right? So I think yeah.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the changes that are coming to the X platform. Some of them overblown, and some of them I think a little bit underblown as well. But let's talk about the traditional funnel. So when we come from something like ecom, it's very simple. You know, we get some UGC creator, we get an influencer, a KOL in the crypto space to make some kind of advertisement, and then we're boosting it with ads in ecom. We don't
Yeah.
really get that same opportunity here, and we're not going to even see like return on ad spend. So talk to us a
No.
little bit about like how crypto companies are traditionally running their funnels. Is it, hey, they're boosting a post with a KOL as like a subtle retweet and then trying to drive people into a Discord? Like, how do you tend to see the modern crypto funnel?
I think most people. I still keep we still keep the traditional marketing funnel even in crypto, because I think like in marketing, people are gonna need multiple touch points with a brand in order to take some sort of action. So we typically divide our GTMs into a few different stages. So as you know, like in the traditional world, there is the tofu, mofu, and bofu, which is basically the top, mid, and bottom funnel. And I think this is still very true in crypto, because nobody is ever gonna go in and buy your coin or sign up on your waitlist when they've only seen your brand once, for example. And that's why we'll always, especially like in the beginning, we try to get as much visibility and as many touch points with the different audiences that we want to target as quickly as possible, and build up the sort of like brand credibility with like maybe some podcasts, some PR, so that people start to see like, okay, there's actually a insane team behind this project, and are building up all of these cool new tech that we were excited to try out. And like this is something that we also believe is going to be a good business in the future. But then like yeah, like I think we like to divide it in three different arms basically. So we have one more, our creative arm, which is the design aesthetic, and then the more creative campaigns and the strategy, which is basically our creative arm. And then we have the distribution channels, which is either content creators, podcasts, different PR publications, and sort of like those sites as well. Or and then we have the tracking and data side, which is like building custom leaderboards, landing pages, doing the analytics and stuff like that.
Yeah, for people that are maybe a little bit confused by maybe they're not as deep into the marketing trenches, for people that say like
Yeah.
top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, the way I like to think about it is know, like, and trust you. Because nobody's going to buy
Yeah.
something from a crypto project that just sprung out of the blue if they don't even know who you are. So that's top of funnel. Be
Yeah.
like, hey, we need to get people to recognize our brand.
Yeah.
Then do they like you? Like, do they have some kind of affinity for the founder? Have they seen them on a podcast? And then do they trust you? They feel like you're not going to be some
Yeah.
kind of slow rug project that's going to disappear in a week. So
Yeah.
if that terminology is confusing, I just always come back to know, like, trust.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that.
So let's talk a little bit about this kind of creator landscape that I feel like is coming in. You'll see a lot of people on the timeline being like KOLs are trash because in prior cycles, maybe the CPMs were really high. And for people that don't know, CPMs just means cost per mil. How much are you paying
Yep.
for 1,000 impressions? Talk to
Yeah.
us a little bit about where you see creators being used. Because personally, on the other side, actually, I can't disclose some of this information, but I see massive companies spending really big per month on creators. So I know the ROI
Yeah.
is still there, but talk to us a little bit about like
Yeah.
where you see creators. Is it UGC? Is it KOLs? Is it clipping campaigns?
Yeah, it's it's interesting, and especially now over the last 2 weeks, so much have happened also in this influencer space. And I used to work with influencers in traditional e-com, and also now in crypto. And we used to spend, I think, close to, I think spend like a few hundred thousands every month on different creator campaigns for companies. And I think like there is different metas and different trends that everybody starts to use when it comes to working with creators. And I think it's changed so much over the last 1 and 2 years. So first we saw you worked with these handful of creators that had like used their numbers a lot, but also they had a lot of stuff, and it was not no really way for anybody to track the authenticity of these profiles, except more than just today's create really high quality content. And there was some tools that you were able to use from more like Web 2 side of things. And then we saw the introduction of Kaito and Infofy and this whole decentralized micro KOL landscape, where sort of like that was the new way of working with creators. You got yourself a leaderboard and you put the bounty up for creators, saying, "Hey, we're going to give away $2 million to creators. If you create content, we're going to rank you and you're going to get rewarded based on that." So that was like the new trend that started to emerge and everybody started to do. And now over the last 2 weeks, we've seen that X, they are now rolling out these paid partnership tags. And this is not something that is really new. It's also been, I know, especially in Europe, it's been like the law, like you need to disclose paid partnerships. Now they also have that on the platform as a policy. We have always endorsed and tried to do it more like that. And I think what is going to happen is that more quality and influencer with actual influence is going to come out winning on this, because influencers is never going to go away. It's been around for hundreds of years, whether it's George Clooney drinking the espresso, or the Kardashians endorsing some IPO or whatever. Like influencers is gonna be there regardless. And I think now on X with this new paid partnership tag, genuine influencers with genuine influence is gonna emerge, because I think as a micro creator, it doesn't, and you put the paid partnership tag, it doesn't have the same sway as like a whale mocha or some of these like more tier 1 creators that say, "Hey, I've partnered with this company because XYZ, and this is why I am one of their ambassadors." And I think now it's going to come more into the influence and the smart metrics. And yeah, I think we're going more towards this analytical way, which I'm actually very excited for, because yeah, you're going to be able to track more of a direct ROI. And I know that Seat, the platform Seat, they're also building out something which is going to be more measurable impact from creators and stuff like that. So yeah, I think like overall, that's the direction where we're going.
Yeah, and then are you seeing things outside of X? I know X traditionally, but I've been talking, and maybe just because I'm in the mobile app space and stuff like that, I've talked to a lot of companies that are actually looking to get outside of the X bubble, or starting to go to things like TikTok, Instagram, or running like clipping campaigns on WAP. Are you seeing
Yeah.
things start to emerge outside there, or do we think for the foreseeable future, crypto will largely be an X-based platform?
No, I definitely think that's also going to be very important, and I think that's like we've seen that has been a huge success, especially for a lot of these different podcasts and stuff like that. They've just gone completely viral with different clipping and stuff like that. And I know you can also get very cheap CPM by doing so. I think it's a great channel. I think it's gonna grow bigger and bigger and bigger. But also, whenever the platform starts to crack down on this paid partnership, like this is a sponsored post and stuff like this. I think it's also gonna be it's gonna be like basically like a paid ad. It's gonna be like a paid ad, and I think that wherever you get the best CPM, that's like where the budgets are gonna go. So even if you have like some clips and stuff like that, either you do it via creators or you do it via paid ads or whatever you want to do it, but yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting space. And I think whenever people start to put the paid label, it's still gonna be like a normal ad, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then you obviously get a bunch of inbound and probably also prospecting for clients. Are you starting to see the type of client change? Probably if we were to rewind this podcast to a year ago, I feel like it would have been all like maybe layer twos or some kind of infrastructure projects. Are you starting to see the types of
Um,
projects? When we were talking off air, we were talking, it seems like everyone's an AI project now. So talk to us a little bit about like, are you seeing the meta of actual company formation change?
um, definitely. So I think like what we saw a lot of L1s, we saw a lot of that, and we saw a lot of. I think the biggest difference is that we see more quality projects these days and less of these noise and crappy projects. So I think the last cycles, whenever it gets very popular, you see a lot of these like self-funded. There is somebody who made a little bit of money in crypto, and then they decide like, oh, I'm going to create this incredible project, which is not going to be a Ponzi scheme. It's going to be these cool JPEGs, and it's going to be this and that. And they have like this revolutionary idea of blockchain, and then they think that they are like, and they're very self-funded, and I think they all come from a very good place, but I think a lot of them lack experience and a lot of very unserious projects. And that's like, I think right now in a market like this is where we see the real builders emerge and say like, hey, I'm going to go to market. I have a strong project. I believe in this project, and we're going to do X, Y, Z. And we're starting to see a lot more prediction markets and DeFi protocols and stuff like that. So I think like it always changes a little bit with a meta, definitely.
Yeah, what do you think about the prediction markets? I swear, I mean, I have a little bit of insight in their into some of their internal marketing campaigns, but it seems like
Yeah,
they have actually broken through to consumers where a lot of people don't even really realize that Polymarket is a crypto project, and you'll see
yeah,
it being referenced on the news. Now, whether that's being paid for or not, we could talk about offline, but it's quite
yeah.
interesting how much those companies have broke through. Do you feel like that's just pure product market fit? Do you feel like it's genius marketing? Do you feel like it's a combination of a few different things?
I think it's we're starting to see product market fit, because I think for the traditional user, I use Polymarket a little bit as the news. I go there to check like what's happening in the world, how likely is things to happen, and they are sort of like breaking they're not only like a prediction market, they're like a news source. They're the purest form of news, because they have a very I was looking at I was listening to a podcast, and they were speaking about like how, if you look at the percentage of how accurate they are in predicting the actual what's going to happen, it's almost like it was like over 90%. It's like almost always true, so they're becoming like this source of truth in a sense as well for the world, because people are staking their money on what's going to happen. And yeah, I think like it's a yeah, it's a very interesting space.
I think it's the ultimate evolution of the news myself, because if you
Yeah,
think about it, the traditional ways in which people quote unquote gamble, like slot machines or like buying Apple stock, but nobody's that fired up by Apple. People are fired
yeah,
up by what they think Trump is going to invade or what they think
yeah,
some country's going to do or Arsenal's going to win. So now, instead of the traditional monetization path for a news agency, because really Polymark is just a news agency at this point. Instead of CNN selling gold bars to your grandmother, now it's like
yeah.
younger people being like, I'll bet on this. I'll put my money on such and such winning the election. So I think it's a
Yeah,
very interesting path. I do wonder if some other like market participant, like whether it even needs to be on crypto or whether
Yeah,
some like Web2 project will come in. I think they're pretty entrenched at this point, but it's quite
yeah.
curious to me.
I agree, and I really like these pre-TGE markets where you predict on FTV, launch dates, and these sort of things. I think those markets are also very interesting. We will actually start to run some experiments for some of our clients where we promote some of their prediction markets to so basically we drive traffic to these markets about like their different stuff. Yeah, it's a very interesting space, and I think it's inevitable. I think I think it's found some actual product market fit, and yeah, it's I like prediction markets. I'm advisor
Yeah.
for
Do you have any?
some prediction markets actually at the moment, so it's an interesting space.
Yeah, we've been advising for some dashboards as well, like trading terminals, things of that nature. It's very interesting. What do you think is kind of going to be the next thing? I feel like people have kind of gotten bearish on Web3 gaming. People have gotten bearish on a lot of like even SocialFi went down. What do
Yeah.
you think is actually going to have persisting? Prediction markets are here to stay. Um, Tokenization is here to stay in many forms. Like, what do you think is actually going to have some staying power in the crypto space?
Um, I think crypto and AI is going to be an absolute runner. I think that's going to be a winner. It's been one of the most trending narratives for 3 years. Me and my brother, we actually hosted a crypto AI conference here in Portugal for it was 1,500 people like 1 year ago. I'm very bullish on that narrative, and I think anything stable coins, payments, basically the whole capital markets being tokenized, like what Coinbase is building. I think those are like the most obvious things that is completely inevitable because the technology for the finance system it just works better in crypto with having it more trustless and more decentralized and more peer to peer. So yeah, I think like those are like my top bets. Anything AI, anything stable coins, anything of these.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about AI. Like, how has that changed your own agency in terms of either like hiring, in terms of running things, in terms of consulting with clients? I feel like it
Yeah.
is, in terms of technological shifts, it's shifted my life the most from damn near
Yeah.
therapy sessions to
Yeah.
doing a lot of client work.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we merged with our agents. We have been very pro AI, like for probably 1 year, and we have started to leverage it for everything. But it's also not had this quality of standard until like the last few months, and we're now starting to build out like different workflows for our agency. We're opening an AI department for automatizations, and it's actually yesterday me and Adam from the sales department, we started to build out these agents for the sales departments. So basically, as soon as you have had a meeting with a client, summarize the meetings, creates a proposal, and then basically you can have we're going to open like an open claw and have it on Slack. So you can type to it on Slack, say, hey, make a proposal for this based on these templates do you have, like the template library, and then also send it to them in the Telegram chat and make a bullet point list of what we discussed and ask if they want to have another meeting. And you just tell that to the agent, and it's just gonna make that whole workflow. So basically, what we have started to do is we're starting to take these things that takes maybe like that typically took like maybe 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hour, and just have it being done by an agent in like 2-3 minutes, right? And I think like this is where we're going in that space, and I find this extremely exciting because you can just see how efficient and how good these models are getting, and especially where you can invite it to your computer, you can train it yourself, you can make it like your own, it becomes extremely powerful. And yeah, I think like if you don't merge with AI in the next 6 months, you're going to become a dinosaur quite quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it changes everything. So we'll take the sales call example like you just had. Yeah. It can produce the proposals, the action items. It can even do
Yeah,
lead scoring after the fact. So let's say
yeah,
you score the lead coming in, being like, yeah, this is 7 out of 10 prospect, but then it listens to the sales call. It's like, yeah, very unlikely to close. Or it can be like, hey, here are the top 10 objections you've gotten over your last 300 calls. And then you can make YouTube content on that. I
yeah.
mean, it's really limitless. Do you see the size of companies? I feel like you saw the thing from Jack with the block. I have to imagine like companies half or even become a third of the size because the founder, who's usually constrained by time and resources, now is like not really as constrained.
Yeah, yeah. I think like we're gonna see it's either two things. So either like companies stop to hire and only scale their productivity with AI, or they cut people and they just shrink the team size because with AI, once all of these teams start to run their own agents, you can see that people become 10%, 20% more efficient whenever they have one or two agents running and doing their work for them. So I think like the operators of AI, if you don't become an operator of AI, you're going to be very replaceable. The one who is operating the AI becomes even more valuable because before you had this capacity, but when you're running AI agents, you have so much more, you're bringing so much more value to this company. So I think like as an operator of AI agents, it's going to be super duper powerful. And we are actually opening our new AI labs, where we're also integrating these systems for enterprise companies. So basically, doing different workshops, training the different teams on how to operate agents, and then to build out agents and stuff like that for them. Because I think like yeah, that's going to be the future, and we're hands on doing all of these for building out agents for all of our teams and stuff like that. So we don't have to yes become more efficient. You can even do it for the podcast. You say like, hey, research a few guests, send them some invites, and then yeah,
Yeah, cold emails. Hey, make the title, split test these. Like back in the day, it
yeah,
was very arduous to split test multiple different thumbnails, things of that nature. It's completely changing everything. Now, to bring things full circle, we talked about no liking and trusting. Now, I feel like trust is really going to plummet, given that like there's going to be AI UGC, given that there's going to be so much AI generated, some slop, some very good content on the timeline. Do you see an
yeah.
issue where users are like, frick, I just want to see a real ass human telling me their actual recommendation?
I do believe so, and I think there's going to be a few things that is going to come into play here. And I think what we've seen now with AI is that the threshold to create, but to create slop and very mediocre stuff is basically it's zero. You can create mediocre and slop very easily,
Mm.
but to have some style and taste and understand how to make the AI work how you want it to work and make it look like a it is like a real person that has your real perspective and stuff like that. Those people are gonna be extremely valuable, and I'm seeing this firsthand. Also in our company, I know we have some people that can create incredible stuff that you just are mind blown by. I think like the what is going to be more important is going to be more this like sense of taste and style, and like being proud of like, okay, this actually looks good and this is not just slop, right? 'Cause creating slop is very easy these days. And then the second part I think is personal branding. To have a personal branding and a personal brand and a reputable brand from before, and creating genuine stuff that you like. I think those parts is going to be whenever you focus on those parts and try to become better constantly, you're going to be sticking out of the crowd. Because I think the it's very easy to create. but to create mediocre stuff. So definitely we're going to see a wave of slop, but if you're good at it, you're going to stick out very easily.
Yeah, and then one final trend I'll just wrap on. I feel like we're seeing things like live streaming, and we're also I'm predicting a huge resurgence in person events. Even though people say, "Oh, people spend too much on in person events," I think in the age of AI, where nothing on the timeline can actually be verified as real or not, I
Yeah.
suspect in person events will become more valuable. What's your kind of perspective on the anti AI plays or the secondary effects?
I agree actually with that. We're running quite a few events in our office. We have a 400 square meter office here in Lisbon, and we've been running events for probably 50 events over the last few years. And we're going to have a few now for some of our clients, and also next to NFC here in Portugal. I agree. I agree with that fully. I think events is going to be important. Genuine PR and more like opinion pieces, and yeah, also podcast is going to be an incredible important channel until you can have two agents doing podcast and speak with each other also, which
Yeah,
probably is going to come.
there's actually one. There's one on Epstein files, and there's two agents talking back and forth through Google Lab. It's a very interesting
um,
space. I think,
yeah,
truthfully, people, if you're listening to this and you're curious about starting your own brand, I'd say you got to start now because you want to be a trusted face in 12 months
yeah,
so that they're like, oh, I recognize Jack. Oh, I recognize Jax.
yeah,
Oh, these
yeah,
guys, like I've seen them before. They're real humans. They're not AI
yeah.
avatars.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But also, what we're seeing, do you know this TikTok celebrity Kabi Lami? I don't
Hmm.
know his actual name, but basically, he became like this huge meme and a huge TikTok guy, and then he sold his license that people can use his face and
Face. Yeah.
his like trend for AI for 900 million. He sold licenses to all of these companies, and then I think actors are gonna start doing that, and we're gonna see all of these crazy stuff. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, you
I,
got to build a personal brand. You got to build a personal brand, and
it's
yeah,
it's going to be a very interesting time. I think there's going to have to be maybe WorldCoin comes back and there's going to have to be some like retina scan of like proof of humanity. This is actually a human generated. One trend we're seeing in
yeah,
TikTok, because we do a lot of TikTok, is like we'll hear people coughing in videos and they won't remove
yeah,
it. Like they'll have their engine running. Like people just like even shit that would have
yeah,
sounded horrible like a year ago. People are like, ah,
yeah.
they're real.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be people are gonna appreciate like this human touch to things and this
Yeah.
imperfection, because
Yeah.
AI, it always creates this perfect thing, and it's always like this thing. So I think this imperfection and human touch is gonna be, it's never gonna go away. Yeah, I think probably that proof of humanity is gonna be something that is also inevitable.
Has to be. And then one final question. You know, you're a young cat. You're just down here in Cape Town. You're obviously in Lisbon. If there's some younger guys or maybe some older guys or gals listening to this and thinking, where should I move in the world to be around the crypto scene? Where would you recommend? Is it Lisbon? Is it Dubai? Is it maybe Dubai? Not right now, but
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like it. I would say if you look at Europe, Portugal is the like crypto hub of Europe. There is a lot of teams, there's a lot of protocols, there's a lot of events going on here all the time in crypto. So it's quite of a big crypto scene in Lisbon, Portugal. So I highly recommend that. But otherwise, like normally, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but otherwise, like Dubai and Singapore and some of these countries also are great. I do believe that Portugal is a great place. It's been storm for like 1 month, but normally it's always sunny. It's a it's a great country to be in, and yeah, it's a lot of crypto. I would say it's the biggest hub in Europe at least. So yeah, highly recommend Lisbon, Portugal.
highly recommend. And then where can people find your company? Where can they find you personally if they want to connect?
Yeah, so I'm a lot I'm on X. It's Jack Haldorsson at Jack Haldorsson, and then the agency is just lunarstrategy.com, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, everyone get in touch. I'll put all the links down in the description. Until the next time, thank you, Jack. I appreciate you.